Welcome back. Kevin Gorg with you. This is Wooden Sticks on the Talk North Podcast Network. Recording today from the Aquarius Home Services studio. It is a Wednesday, midweek, weird NHL schedule. We've talked about this a couple different times on the show. You know, with the Wild, I kind of worked my recording schedules around my travel with the hockey club. And so the Wild, we had a game last weekend. We were in Boston and 4 days off. And then now, starting tomorrow night, Thursday, 3 games in 4 nights. The Canucks come calling before we travel out to Ottawa and then play Easter Sunday on national TV in Detroit. So the Wild know they're going to be playing the Dallas Stars. We all likely know they're going to be the road team. Either April 18th or April 19th will be game 1. We know all these things. We've known it for about a month, and we've talked about it. And I think their play, which has been, I would just call it middling. I wouldn't call it terrible. There's been some losses. I'm sure fans start to overthink, and they're better than this team, and they are, and that's going to happen. I think with a veteran team, and they've certainly got that right now with the moves that Bill Guerin made at the trade deadline. They're really just trying to put themselves in a position where they can feel good at the end of the year, see the puck go in a little bit. Most importantly, be healthy and get their goaltending to a place where it's playing at a high level. And we've seen stretches this year where Gustafsson and Wallstedt have been the best tandem in the National Hockey League. They've been unbelievable. Right now, I would say Jesper's playing a little bit better. All that being said, that, April, 18th or 19th, game 1 in Dallas, we know right now, if he's healthy, Philip Gustafsson's going to be the guy. He's got playoff experience. He's got big stage experience from the Olympics this year, where I know he didn't play his best hockey, but even last year at the Four Nations where he played really well. He's going to be the game 1 starter if he's healthy. And he's just been a little bit off. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been the great Gus that we're used to seeing. Overall, really good season. Most of the time, he's been brilliant. He's going to need to be that guy if Minnesota's going to match up with Jake Ottinger and the Dallas Stars. When I handicap what's going to be a terrific series on paper, there isn't a lot in between these two teams. They are very, very evenly matched. There's high-end talent on both. Both teams can play physical. Both teams have skill. Both teams have a really good blue line, anchored by high-end superstars. Miro Heiskanen on their side, clearly Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber, you name it on the Wild side. But Jake Ottinger is a consistently high-performing goalie, one of the best 2 or 3 in the world. And that matchup needs to be at least leveled off. And if Minnesota's going to beat Dallas, whether it's Gustafsson, which it's likely going to be, or if, God forbid, he's hurt or sick, if it's Jesper Wallstedt, they have to be as good as Ottinger. And if they are, I think the Wild have a really good chance to win, because the one thing I think Minnesota has is they're a little deeper up front and they're a little more physical than Dallas. And in a series that's likely going to go 6 or 7 games and be a complete grinder after an 82-game schedule, that physical play, to me, can pay a big dividend. Now, Minnesota's going to have to do it with discipline. We've seen them in series against Dallas get themselves in penalty trouble and get beat, and that can't happen. And so that's the line they're going to have to walk. And now we're just to the final 2 weeks of the season, just hoping that they can maintain, stay healthy, see the puck win a little bit, and come into that series feeling good. I don't care about the wins or the losses. I don't care about the points. I'm not watching the out-of-town scoreboard. Dallas is going through a struggle right now. I don't care. None of this matters, because when you get to game 1 of the playoffs, and this is my 20th year of doing this, whether you finish with 105 points or 97 points, you don't get anything for it. And there have been plenty of President Trophy winners in the last couple of decades that have gone nowhere. More often than not, it's been the kiss of death. So don't give me regular season points and this win and that win. Are you healthy? Are your go-to guys seeing the puck go in? And is your goaltending sharp? If they have that, this team is built to make a run. I feel good about it. They're going to be built for the next 3 or 4 years to make a run. So I'm not going to panic if things don't go their way this year, but I have a good feeling about this group specifically now after watching the new players mesh in here after the trade deadline. I think McCarron and Nick Foligno at the top of that list have been unbelievably impactful for this hockey team. And if and when it comes to this, where Trenyon and the Foligno brothers are a thing come playoff time. And John Hines has hinted at that. In fact, today at practice, when I was over there asking certain questions after their skate, that was something we talked about. That could be a line that could really tip the scales in the favor of the Minnesota Wild. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. For all of us now that have pretty much clinched the playoff spot, we're watching all these other teams on the grind. Can Bruno and Darby get Nashville over the wire? Can this incredible story in Buffalo continue? Can they hold off Tampa Bay, who looks like the team to beat and to bet? And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're betting in the Eastern Conference, I love a ticket on Tampa Bay right now. I love what they bring to the table with Coach Cooper. But can Buffalo hold them off? And then there's just some unbelievable stories. Anaheim's got a chance to win the division. Vegas gets Torts, right? Tortorella's back. Cassidy is out, which is crazy, but it's going to be so juicy and interesting to watch. So right now, these next couple of weeks, we get ready. And then, like I said, the weekend of April 18th and 19th, it is on. Playoff hockey in the National Hockey League. There is nothing like that chase for the Stanley Cup, and we're going to have it all covered for you right here on Wooden Sticks. Let's today, before we get to our special guest, who's just a terrific ambassador for the game, we're going to get into some college hockey. We just saw the NCAA playoffs crank up in the last week and change, and we watched the 4 teams punch their ticket to the Frozen Four. So I thought it'd be a great time to catch up with Leon Hayward. He's an assistant coach at St. Thomas. He played his college hockey at Northeastern. He coached also at Colorado College, but specifically right now on Rico Blasi's staff with St. Thomas, Anderson Arena, NIL, the portal, the Frozen Four. He spent time in the AHL. I mean, he's from Seattle, Washington. There's so many layers to this conversation I think you're going to enjoy today. College hockey gets paid. It's going to be a lot of fun. And before we get to Leon Hayward, I want to thank some of our sponsors. Without them, we don't have a show. And I'll start with my dear friend, Mr. John Schweitz of Minnesota Masonic Charities. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz. They are the biggest and the best charitable organization on the planet, and John Schweitz, a big reason for that here in the Metro. Give him some love. Onyx Fish and Onyx Maps. Of course, we love the outdoors here in the Twin Cities and beyond, so Onyx is a great supporter of all of us here at Talk North.
If you like to hunt or fish, I highly recommend checking out onxmaps.com. Check it out for onxmaps.com/hunt or onxmaps.com/fish. Stop fishing the same lake because it's the only one you know. Onyx Fish lets you filter lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential so you can make a smarter call on where to spend your Saturday before you ever hitch up the trailer. It's only $34.99 for the year, less than a spool of good braid. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store or go to onxmaps.com/fish and fish smarter this season.
And, of course, our friends over at Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood. Leon Hayward, St. Thomas hockey assistant coach, next here on Wooden Sticks. All right, we're back on Wooden Sticks, a college hockey edition of the show today. As always, recording from the Aquarius Home Services studio. Dear friend of mine, assistant coach with the University of St. Thomas Tommies. He is Leon Hayward. Leon, great to have you on the show. Great to connect again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Gorgie.
Well, just your early reflections on the season you guys just had. You opened up that brand new arena. Anderson Arena is as spectacular as we hoped it would be. And the schedule you played, specifically the non-conference schedule, how good your conference was. Now that you've had a little time to kind of catch your breath, how would you evaluate the season for the Tommies?
Yeah, there's definitely, kind of heartbreak at the end. But, as you step back each day, there are a lot of great takeaways from it. So proud of the guys, really proud of the senior class that, came here 4 years ago with not much to go on and just a little belief. And so it as we step back from it, obviously there's a lot of positives to take from it, and 21 wins and all those good things. And again, like you said, tough non-conference schedule, tough conference. I thought the CCHA was excellent this year. So it was, there are a lot of great takeaways and positives to move forward with.
And you look at where you are right now as a program, and, you guys came within an eyelash of winning your conference this year, your final year in the CCHA. And you look at making that transition to the NCHC, which arguably year in and year out is the toughest and the best conference in college hockey. How much did your time specifically this year, as competitive as you guys were, set you up now to make this transition? It's not going to be easy.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, you just see it in the NCAA tournament, and never mind that the teams that didn't make it, how strong those teams are in that conference. So there's a lot of excitement, but also I think we understand the task that's ahead of us. And the good news is our rising senior class, they kind of came into a different type of St. Thomas, one where there were more expectations. They played for league championships, regular season and conference, championships to end the year. So there's a different level of expectation of what we want to do, but obviously we understand there's an enormous challenge in front of us in terms of the teams we have to compete with, and just the night in, night out grind.
As you're out there, and I know you're a huge part of the recruiting process and getting kids to look at St. Thomas, and, it's a different landscape in college hockey, but just specifically, Leon, Anderson Arena, that piece of the puzzle, we know the campus at St. Thomas, we know the education that's provided, it's state of the art, but this was something that, in all of our eyes as alumni, was the missing piece to the puzzle. When you look at that now, in hindsight, seeing a year of hockey, seeing these kids get acclimated at the arena with the facilities, how much of a recruiting tool is this going to be for you?
Well, I just think it puts you there with the big boys, frankly, in terms of the facility and what we have to offer a student athlete in every way. So, like you said, great school, great academically. Obviously, the conference we're moving into, excellent. And so now you have the facilities to go along with those three things that, student athletes are looking for these days. So we're really excited. It's a great tool. It's an amazing building. I think it took us probably a month or two to get used to all the different rooms we could watch video with guys and connect with players. But it's a tremendous opportunity, and they did such a good job with the building, from the sight lines to the amenities to everything.
Not a bad seat in the building. I've watched a handful of games in different locations. I sat with you at a high school hockey game on the second level. And the one thing I can honestly look back and say with my experiences is there wasn't a bad place in that building as I moved around to see the rink, to see the plays set up, to feel the energy in the building. And you guys have something special there for sure. And I love how you said it puts us in there with the big boys, because now you're swimming in deep waters. And I look at the Frozen Four. I look at a program like North Dakota. I look at a program like Denver University. These are blue blood programs. The one thing I garnered from handicapping the Frozen Four, which is now a week and a half away, is these are all blue blood, top programs that have been around for a long time. And you guys are the new kid, right? You're trying to implement your program and take these leaps forward. You've made big strides in the first 3 years, but now the waters get deeper. And so is it good for your kids to get a taste this year of having a chance, really one game away from an NCAA tournament, to give them just a little taste of it moving forward?
For sure. And again, just the backstretch of the CCHA regular season, everybody was in the mix. So every game was important. Every play was important. And, again, I think having that awareness of having a chance to get into the tournament and to, I don't know what our final NPI was, but I think it's 16. So you're so close, right, from even being at large, and what that means, and what the games in October and November mean, and how important those are. So it was really good for our guys to get a feel for that this year. And I've kind of compared the NCHC a little bit from my time at Colorado College to going in the pool with your big brother, and you just keep getting dunked. And so, one weekend you go to Denver and you get dunked there, and then you come up for air, and oh man, you're going to Duluth and dunked, and head up to North Dakota and Western, and everybody, Miami, and so it's tough, but it's I think our guys are. The CCHA has been awesome for us. And so for us to be able to be competing for championships there, I think really helps us prepare for the future.
Do you and Rico or any of the coaches, do you guys head out to Vegas in a week and a half for that Frozen Four, or do you watch from afar like us?
Probably watch from afar. I know I was in the building in St. Paul, and checking that out. Rico's obviously been there. Carl Gehring, our other assistant, has been there and won it. I'm the one on the staff that hasn't had that experience. So I think we're going to watch from afar and just kind of continue to get ourselves ready for next year.
If you had to handicap it right now, and you've got, Wisconsin playing North Dakota in the early game, you've got Michigan playing the Denver Pioneers in the late game next week, who do you think wins it? Is there a team that you think we should watch out for? Because as I try to look at this, and I watch plenty of college hockey, it feels like both those games are a coin flip, and it feels like any of the four can win it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you look at the resiliency that Wisconsin has played with, the back end, coming back on Michigan State. You look at the consistency of North Dakota and of Michigan all year, just doing it every weekend, and obviously the high end skill that Michigan has. And then you look at Denver, who has that savvy and confidence of that champions have. It really is a coin flip. They're all excellent teams, all have great goaltending. So they don't have a lot of holes. So it's going to be really, who maybe gets that first bounce and kind of settles into their game early. But they're all excellent teams, all well coached. Even you look at Michigan and Haig's banged up, and they got plenty of guys to fill his spot, so it's a really it's going to be a great weekend of hockey, and I think it speaks to the larger picture. I know they're the kind of blue bloods that are there, but just the level of play and ability at the collegiate level right now is off the charts.
So I think most hockey fans that follow college hockey realizes, that Rico Blasi is a great coach. You guys have a great coaching staff. Your kids come to play. And I think there's a lot of respect around the country for what you guys have done at St. Thomas. For all of us that aren't in the locker room on a daily basis, whether it's at practice or before the game, or the adjustments in game and on the bench and in the locker room in between periods, what is something about Rico that you truly appreciate, his coaching style? Maybe take us inside the room a little bit and help maybe our listeners understand what makes him such a great coach.
Yeah, I tell people when they come on campus and visit school, and he's I believe his fourth of active coaches in wins. So
wow.
He's been doing this for a long time. I think his sense and connectedness with his players is immense. And I think he always has a really good global view of the season. I think a lot of times as assistant coaches, we can get very narrowly focused into our areas, whether it's the forwards or the D or a specific game or, your special teams, your power play, your penalty kill. And I think he keeps a really strong global picture of what's going on in our room and just around the country, frankly, of how things are going. So I think it's that his ability to be in the fight, but kind of step back and say, we're okay here, or, hey, we need to push here. Maybe when, things are going well and, you may have a tendency to slow things down. He's got a real good feel for, when to push, when not to push. And I think that's that comes with great experience and having been through it at a lot of levels and a lot of places.
One thing you guys have to navigate, Leon, is the portal, and it's a real hot button subject in the college hockey world. What are your honest feelings about the portal, and what type of challenge does that present? Like at this time of year, I can only imagine what you guys are trying to do to put together a winning combination into next season. Your thoughts on the portal?
My honest opinion is I think a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, or 5 years ago, whenever the portal kind of started becoming a thing, people looked at it as hey, if someone transfers, it's a bad look on your program. The reality is it's just there. It allows players to go find other opportunities. So I think it's great for players. When maybe there's not a great fit, it allows you to tinker with your team and maybe if you're missing a specific type of player or role, to find that. So I think it's ultimately a good thing. And our athletic director, said, a while back when we got here, like the portal's gonna, probably help us more than it's going to hurt us. And some of our great players that we've had here have been transfers. Our leading scorer this year was a transfer from Harvard, Alex Gaffney, and Liam Malmquist the year before that. And we've had some really good players come through that way. So it's huge. And then we've also seen some kids that, maybe it wasn't a fit here for them, and they've gone on to win championships other places and find the right fit for them. So I think it's been good any angle that you look at it. And it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, you see it in every sport now, and it's great for guys to go find other opportunities at other places and find some success. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody wants to play, and so go find a place that you can play at, and it all works out ultimately. Even though they're tough decisions, they're hard, and it's hard for some kids to leave, but ultimately you go to a place where you can play and have some success.
So for you personally, how do you get away from the grind of hockey? Like I don't think there's really an off season anymore. You guys are building day by day, but you have to have time for the real world. I know you're married. I know you've got 2 beautiful kids. How do you compartmentalize and get away from the stress of the job? What do you like to do to have fun?
That's probably a better question for my wife. I don't know what I have to. I think we were talking about it the other day. My family and my older son had said, "You're kind of a hockey zombie." So no, we definitely live it. You live and breathe college hockey when you're in it. And I try and do a little bit of travel when we can, and really just more so to kind of get away. But it's always on the back of your mind. Your players are always in the back of your mind. It's just the way it is. It's what I've chosen to do, for me, and I love it. And I think the beauty of college hockey versus pro hockey, for me, is that you get to recruit a player, you get to coach a player, help with the skill development, help with the growth, and then to go see them move on. So you get to see all the phases versus being kind of siloed at the pro level. So there's obviously benefits to both things, but I still very much love being involved, from going from that first time, watching a kid play in high school and then seeing them trek through juniors and helping them through that path, and then getting them here, and then working with them here, and then seeing them have success while they're at St. Thomas, and then moving on and signing a pro contract. That's the beauty of college hockey. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying I don't have too many other things that I like to do, but yeah, I like to travel a little bit, travel with the wife and kids, and really just enjoy the time. I will say, having moved to Minnesota, with a little bit more of our travel and recruiting locally, it's actually freed me up for a lot more kind of family time and stuff like that. So that's been great.
I love that your son called you a hockey zombie. I'd never heard that term before, and I'm going to steal it. I think it's fantastic. I think all of us are guilty of that at some point, because you do get kind of immersed in the day by day. And it's like you said, it's always at least on the back of your mind. And part of that pride you feel, you just mentioned it, Leon, seeing guys go full circle from the time you first meet them when they're teenagers to being young man and turning pro. You've had a handful of guys do that now. I've seen the releases on social media. That also has got to make you really feel good about the program you guys have built.
For sure. I think, when you give kids opportunity and they take advantage of it, it's tremendous. And there's nothing really that makes us prouder than that. And it's different for everybody. We'll have some guys that won't go play pro hockey, and they're going to have unbelievable jobs and go in the workforce and be tremendous humans there. And then you obviously have the guys that are going to go on and hopefully play hockey for a long time afterwards. So it's all the different pieces in every direction that they go, feels really good.
I just, as you were talking earlier, is AI, artificial intelligence, is that going to be something that gets incorporated into recruiting? I just think of videos and some of the things you bump into on social media, and it's kind of scary, especially for me, because I'm a lot older than you and I'm not real good with technology. But I'm just thinking out loud here as we converse on the show today. Is AI going to be a thing that you guys lean on in some of the process?
I don't think we're using AI really on our end. Where it's definitely a piece is some of the stats and things that we use. Obviously there's an AI component to that as they put things together. And so obviously we dig into stats and analytics a lot, and even through junior teams and junior leagues, to look at different trends. And so we haven't used it from a strictly, recruiting type of deal.
Okay.
But definitely it's in there in terms of looking at trends and looking where guys are at and trying to compile lists that way.
Okay. You grew up out West. Take me back to when you were a little kid. Where did this hockey passion come from? Where did you fall in love with the game?
I can remember skating for the very first time. They gave me a bag of gear. The story actually starts as my mom signed me up. So I'm a only child, single parent family. And my mom didn't sign me up for the Boys and Girls Club soccer team on time. And so she was literally at the desk complaining because they wouldn't let me on a soccer team. And one of the people behind us, a woman we knew, said, "Oh, you should have them try hockey." And no one in the Kraken were not a thing. Hockey was not a thing. There were about
this is
4
way
rinks
before the Kraken.
Yeah, there were about 4 rinks in the entire state. And she said, "You should play hockey." And my mom said he's going to lose his teeth. And long story short, I showed up. They give you all the equipment. I even had the old skates with not the full toque and just the metal blade. And there was something just that made me feel so free when I skated the first time. I couldn't really skate, but just kind of got around, fell in love with the game that way. Was very lucky to have some good coaches. And I think the biggest thing where I lucked out is I got to work with the Seattle Thunderbirds as their stick boy in the Western Hockey League. And so I did that probably from I don't even know, 1988 to 96 or 95 when I went to boarding school. and just so many great players that came through that league at that time, and just learning how to play. And and it's funny, ironically, full circle now that we get to recruit the CHL. Obviously, we love going out. I love going out and being able to go see the Thunderbirds play again. Nathan Pilling, who are one of our big guys this year, big freshman this year. He was a Seattle Thunderbird, so it was great for me to go back and see some people that I knew and remembered from back in the day when I was going out to recruit him. And so it's I just fell in love with the game and lucked out going to boarding school, went back east and went to boarding school, and had a great experience at Tabor Academy. And that led me to Northeastern. And Northeastern, I was I was a fourth liner for 4 years, and that was the dead honest truth, and ended up having a pro hockey career that I probably shouldn't have had, and played 6 years and won a championship and had a ton of fun and met a lot of great people, and it's kept me in the game. And then got to coach after that, and that's along the lines got me to St. Thomas. So it's been I really feel like I'm extremely lucky, and now I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the country in terms of the college I'm at and the opportunities we have here. And I just feel extremely lucky, and I'm grateful to the game. Like a lot of us, like it's just given so much.
I feel like we always come back to this as I get older, and I'm approaching 60 next year. I think we all end up where we're supposed to be. And you were an incredible long shot. When I think about your journey starting in Seattle, Washington, the story you tell today, which is fascinating to me, that you're sitting at that table and that just happens to come up. But the fact that you end up on the other side of the country playing Division I hockey at Northeastern, and you end up playing in the American Hockey League, you play pro hockey for 6 years, you end up where you're supposed to be. And I look at the passion you bring to that coaching staff at St. Thomas. And, I don't know how much you know. And again, when you're involved in it, maybe you don't pay close attention, but whether it's players or coaches or families that come in contact with you personally, you're an incredible ambassador for not only St. Thomas, but for the game of hockey. People adore you. And I think our listeners, as they work their way through this conversation, will understand why. I just think what an incredible journey you had. I mean, that took you from all parts, right? Where you easily could have slipped through the cracks and never found the rink, but the rink found you, and it was meant to be, right?
100%. And I think about that a lot. And it's one of those things where, again, when you're so thankful for what the game's given you, I think you want that to give that same passion to the guys you coach. And so wherever I've coached along the years and played, I've just enjoyed being at the rink. I enjoy the grind now on the coaching side, watching games and just kind of digging into the minutia that can either help our players get better or our coaching staff get better or myself get better. I just love it. But I've just, again, like I said earlier, I'm just super lucky, and I love the game, and being here now has been amazing. Even like I said, from a family perspective to a hockey perspective to now, back coaching in the NCHC and being at an unbelievable institution.
Well, I got to tell you, I just wrapped up last weekend with the Wild in Boston. It's an incredible area. You know it well. There's sports everywhere. If you love sports like you and I do, you can't go 10 feet without bumping into an opportunity to take in a sporting event. But a couple years ago, we had a night off before the Wild were going to play the Bruins at TD Garden. And Joe O'Donnell, our radio play-by-play guy, and I, we both love college hockey. And all of a sudden, we're flying to Boston on an afternoon, and we look at the schedule, and we're like, holy shit, the Bean Pot is going on. And so we scurry, we land, we take the bus to the hotel. It's approaching dinner time, and you know this well. It's a doubleheader on a weeknight. It's a huge deal. And so we scramble down there. We get tickets. We get in. We take in like 6 or 7 hours of hockey, and it was an incredible event. We had watched it on TV for years. We'd seen the highlights on SportsCenter, but now here we are at the Bean Pot. You lived it as a player. I can't imagine how much fun it was. Take us inside that event from a player's perspective, and how much did that part of the schedule get circled when you started every season?
Yeah, it's a huge part, and the joke is, you could lose all your games during the year, but if you won the Bean Pot,
Yes.
you'd be in great shape. And I unfortunately, we never went played in the championship game, my freshman year and my senior year, and it was an amazing experience from start to finish, and just the energy of the city, similar to Minnesota. Boston loves its hockey, and to be able to play in the NHL building, similar to like our guys playing the state tournament, or some of the college games that we've played there. Just that energy of being in an NHL building and having local teams playing, there's nothing better than that. So it was great. I mean, I like I said, it was one of those things that you always remember. Every night you could kind of feel it. The 5 o'clock game starts in the Bean Pot, and then the building's not all the way full, and then at some point in the middle of the second period, you realize you're sitting there and the building's packed and the garden's packed, and it's surreal, but it's a special event. And obviously I think they've tried to recreate that a little bit out here in Minnesota. There's either been kind of not enough teams or too many teams, and it's an amazing experience. If we could ever figure it out here, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the state tournament, because taking in that event in person, I finally understood it, because the taunting that the fans did school to school, and BU, BC, there's obviously bad blood there, Harvard, Northeastern, like it's the chanting, the cheers, the intensity, all the bands that are there, like the atmosphere reminded me of the state tournament we have here in Minnesota. And so what a special tournament that is. And for you to play in that and to be a part of it, incredible. And I hope we can find a way in Minnesota or somewhere in the college hockey world on the western side of things, try to duplicate that, because, as being out there, that is a tradition that brings the average sports fan to college hockey. I mean, you look at that building on that night, it isn't just the schools and the college hockey fans. Sports fans in general migrate to the Bean Pot. It's that big a tournament. And I would argue that you'll have more juice around that weekend than sometimes you will at the Frozen Four. And the Frozen Four is fantastic, but I'm just trying to put it in perspective. Having attended, it blew me away.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's like when people who are not in Minnesota show up at the state tournament for the first time, and they're blown away. And having recruited in this area for around the last 10 years and been lucky to probably been in the last 10 state tournaments, there's nothing like it. And similarly, the Bean Pot, there's nothing like the Bean Pot.
So as you take a look at college hockey right now, and it's a different landscape, it's a different world. We mentioned the portal. I'll bring it up right here in this question. NIL, recruiting into Canada now, which is different. What's the bottom line for the hockey fan that's listening to this show? What's the bottom line with where we are with college hockey moving forward? What are some of the good things that can come out of this?
Well, I just think, and again, you go back to the Frozen Four this in a couple of weeks here. Just the level of play is so high, and you have a lot of guys that are going to get a chance to play in the NHL, to see them on a regular basis from a lot of different teams. So I think college hockey's in a great spot. I think eventually, as things kind of settle in here and this new path settles in, I think college hockey will be not gatekeeper is probably the wrong word, but will be a very nice throughway for NHL prospects to play in the NHL, because there's just another level of intensity in the college games, because they mean so much every night, which is different than junior hockey. Junior hockey, you could have a Tuesday night game in Moose Jaw, and it doesn't really, maybe you get 2 points, maybe you don't, and you just kind of move on. Whereas every weekend, for college hockey teams is really do or die, and affects you at the end of the year when you're looking to get into the tournament. So I just think it's in a great spot. I think they're tremendous coaches. all throughout college hockey, tremendous players. So I think we're in a really good spot to continue to push the envelope and continue to have great players come through and prepare themselves for for hopefully long careers in pro hockey.
All right, Leon, final segment. I call it the Hat Trick Hot Seat. We're going to give you 3 questions. We're going to learn a little bit about you and maybe some of the places you've been. A lot of times on the podcast, I'll ask about your first concert. I'm going to ask you maybe the musician or group of musicians you've seen the most. Like I've seen Kenny Chesney probably between 15 and 20 times. I'm going to see him this summer at the Sphere for the second straight summer in Vegas. So who would be your go-to favorite concert you've been to multiple times?
I don't know if I have one musician. Can I go with the stand-up comedian?
Absolutely.
So I've seen Dave Chappelle live, I want to say 6 times or even 7. So going all the way back to high school and all through college and after college and even with my wife. So Chappelle has been kind of my guy. I'm a big stand-up comedian guy.
What a talent.
Yeah. He just runs the gamut of everything. So more stand-up. I see more stand-up comedians than I see probably shows at this time too. But been to Eric Church a couple of times, which has been great too. And a lot of different kind of hip hop acts as well. So, but I love the stand-up comedians.
I'm blown away by the stand-up comedians because to get on that stage and to know for the next 60 to 90 minutes that you've got to be on, you've got to be funny, you've got to connect with the audience, you've got to entertain, the pressure involved in that. And then if you go a direction that people get uncomfortable and aren't laughing, I've seen some of the best. Like I've seen Seinfeld. I just saw Nate Bargatze when he came to the Grand Casino Arena last year. I've only seen Chappelle on some of his TV specials, but I am blown away by that skill set, if you know what I mean. Like I could never do it. And I'm not shy. You're not shy. I could never do it.
For sure. I saw Nate too here.
Oh, is he
at
good?
Grand Casino as well. So yeah, I actually went there with the whole family, so it was good. It was
good
trip.
clean
Great
fun.
show.
One of those shows where you're like, God, they didn't swear. Because a lot of times, that's cool. Comedians swear. I'm not a prude. Like, okay, that's fine. But no, that whole show was, you could bring kids and it was really good. But they didn't take you down that road, which was interesting. Next subject would be road arena. So, obviously Anderson Arena is off the table. But as a player, as a coach, as a fan, give our listeners a place where you've been to watch a college hockey game or be involved in a college hockey game, where you're like, this is a really cool place to visit.
Yeah, I think so. What I'd say from my playing days in college, it would be Maine. Maine is outstanding. And I think from once I got into coaching and I think for me, it's Western right now. It's hard because, I got to recruit against these guys, but
right.
Western, the environment there was awesome. We actually went and won a playoff series there in the NCHC when I was at CC, won in 3 games, and the environment was electric. So there are a lot of great environments in college hockey. I mean, it is so much fun to go on the road and play in great buildings with great fans. And there's kind of another level of fandom for your college of choice. And I think that is what makes college really special as well too.
Okay. This is a bonus question. This isn't a part of the Hat Trick Hot Seat. I have one more question in the Hat Trick version, but you grew up in Seattle. You spent 6 years at Colorado College, and now you've been in Minnesota for quite some time. Are you a Seahawks? Are you a Broncos? Or are you a Vikings guy? I'm a Broncos guy. So even though I'm Minnesota all my life, I'm a Denver Bronco fan. I'll lead with that. I'm guessing you're a Seahawks fan.
I'm a Seahawks, and the Patriots won their first Super Bowl while I was in college. And again, you get so immersed in the sporting culture, I think, of where we college. So like the Pats were big time, which I know people are either all for Brady or all against Brady, but to be in New England at that time,
I forgot about that. Of course,
was amazing. But yeah, I mean, I grew up a a Ken Griffey Jr. guy with Seattle Mariners. So I have fond memories of Dave Craig and Steve Largent on the football side and the Mariners and hopefully we get our Sonics back, which is going to be pretty exciting too if that comes to fruition. So yeah, I was lucky. The Seattle teams were very good as I was growing up, and then when I went to college, the Patriots started to hit it, and then a couple years later, the Red Sox, finally broke through it, and there were some really good Bruins teams there too. Then, I've been pretty lucky. Now I'm just kind of a neutral fan, but if I had to pare it down, I'd probably be a Patriots and Seahawks guy, but the Vikes are the only team I haven't seen live here, actually. So I have to get myself to a Vikings game. But it's funny, your kids start to my kids like the Vikings now. You know what I mean? So it's just wherever they're at. So we have Wild and Vikings fans in our house.
I love that. Okay, final hat trick question is this one. I don't even know if you're into the movies, but everybody at some point either bumps into one on TV or heads to the theater. If you're going to sit down and watch your favorite or one of your favorite movies, because it's so hard, I think, to limit it to just one movie, what is one of your go-to movies and why?
If I had to pick one movie, I love Pulp Fiction. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of going on. There's some humor. There's obviously some other things that go on in it, but I love Pulp Fiction. And I'm a big Denzel guy too. So like a Man on Fire, that kind of thing too. So those two kind of popped to my head right away. But again, I love the comedies and all that other stuff. But I think if Pulp Fiction has a little bit of all the different elements, if you're, stuck on an island and had to, watch one movie, probably is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. And anything with John Travolta, I'm a sucker for. That guy's he's fantastic. Well, Leon, honestly, just fantastic stuff. I knew it'd be great. I kind of wanted to wait till the season was over. I had this in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I don't want to bang on your door when you're in this grind down the stretch. So I'm glad we could connect now. Can't wait to see where this is going with St. Thomas. So the NCHC, the building, it's an exciting time to be an alumni, a fan of the Tommies, and really proud that you and Rico and that coaching staff are there. You guys are doing fantastic work. Really exciting to watch your team play, and can't wait to see where you're headed.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it, Corgan. Love your passion for St. Thomas and the Wild and all things Minnesota hockey. It's infectious. So appreciate all your support.
Good man there. That is Leon Hayward, assistant coach for the University of St. Thomas. A quick break, and I'll be right back to put a close on this week's edition of Wooden Stick. Stay tuned. Fun conversation. Great to allow our listeners to get to know Coach Hayward. Leon is, as we touched on there towards the end of our conversation, beloved. Families, players, coaches that coach with him, and even the schools that coach against him. He's that guy. When you see him walking around the rink, he can't make it 5 feet without getting a handshake or a hug. He's that guy for sure. He's just a quality individual, great knowledge of hockey, great recruiter. He was a big part of turning Colorado College into a big-time winner again as a part of that staff, and I think he's a huge asset for Rico and St. Thomas, and really fun to hear his hockey journey on how it started and how maybe it was meant to be. And then, of course, playing college hockey at Northeastern, being a part of that Bean Pot. For me, that was pretty special to hear all about that. And to witness that a couple years ago, if you're a hockey fan and you're looking for like bucket list items, things to do, maybe jot down in a notebook sometime and think about down the road doing, if you can get out to any part of that Bean Pot in the Boston area, you won't regret it if you love the game. I mean, the bands, the pomp, the circumstance, the juice in the building, the chanting with the fans. It's a spectacular event, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. So that's what we've got today for you on the show. As always, I'm easy to find on Twitter or X at Gorgomatic21. I've had some great recommendations. One of the DMs I got last week was directly involved with handicapping the Masters because I moonlight on KFAN on the Power Trip Morning Show as their quote-unquote golf analyst. I play a lot of fantasy golf. I like to bet on golf. It's what I do. And anyway, we're going to try to have a little bit of a golf feel to our show next week. Details to come via the social media platform at Gorgomatic21. So send us a message. Let us know what's cooking. Special thanks, though, to Leon Hayward, our producer, Alex Haugen, who's doing a brilliant job as always. And thank you to you, all the listeners out there that make this show go. Back next week with so much more here on Wooden Sticks. Take care.